you know that I love helping people and I love positioning people for success. Well, I believe that success has a lot to do with how we communicate with people. Now, I have a very special guest tonight. Her name is Laura Barton. She's actually a sales and marketing professional, and Laura's been in that space for well over 30 years. She's sold B2C, B2B, face-to-face, inside sales, outside sales, warm calls, cold calls, inbound, outbound, you name it. She's a top closer and has been for over 25 years. She spent over, get this, 40,000 sales calls. She's been on over 40,000 sales calls, really trying to help people get their needs met. And she's also spent the last 8 years analyzing internet marketing companies. In fact, she's helped over 15,000 companies online enhance their processes and create more success. If you are wanting to build your business online or offline, definitely grab a pen because Laura's going to drop some amazing stuff. Laura, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you, Terry.
It is great to be here. So let's take people a little bit behind the curtain. How did you get into the world of sales?
You know, it was a funny thing. I always sold because I was an artist and I always needed jobs and I would just get sales jobs. And my husband told me, why don't you get a writing job? And I was like, okay, because I like to write. And there was an internet marketing company that wanted project managers. And it was an interesting thing because, you know, they thought if they could get someone who was a writer, they could write good emails and they could talk on the phone. And I got in there and it was a new industry for me. It was a $12 an hour job. Well, I needed to make money. And It didn't take long to figure out what these clients would need. So I became one of their top salespeople really quick. And, you know, I just had always sold ever since I was a little kid. My dad taught me to sell when I was like 8 years old because I wanted to do something. And he told me no, and I was shut down so fast, like a house of cards. I mean, I was just bam down, you know, like crushed. and it was terrible. And yeah, I was like, you know, really shattered. My dad told me no the way he did, and because I had interrupted him, and he felt so guilty. He called me back. He's like, "Wait, Laura, come back here. You know, wait a minute. You know, do you know what you're doing?" And he's like, "Do you really want to do this?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And he's like, "Well, you didn't sell me on it." So he taught me to negotiate when I was 8. And you know, when I was older, and anytime I would get into anything, I always naturally just fell into sales because it's just what you do when you want something. You know, I needed more money. I figured out how to sell people things they would pay me for, and that's, you know, it just kind of went from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I bet he probably regretted the fact of making you so relentless in selling when you were younger, right? And full of energy as a teenager, right?
Very very insightful of you. Yes, he certainly had a negotiator on his hand, and I become really annoying. My husband, you know, I can drive him crazy because if you tell me no, I don't think I sold you right. So I must not have explained it, because if I had explained it correctly, you would agree with me. So if you tell me no, I think, okay, now I have to figure out how to get you to say yes. So I come back again. And then if you tell me no again, it's like, okay, you must not understand what I'm talking about because you didn't tell me yes. So you know, this relentless, I have to figure out how to make you want to say yes, and it drives me crazy sometimes.
I love it. I love it. So let me ask this question. Why is it that some people just don't really like it? And what makes somebody a great salesperson?
I think in your heart, you have to really care a lot about people and you want to help them. And that's the main thing, because when you're really selling, when you're a great salesperson, you're not actually selling anything. You're finding out what the person needs. And you're wanting to help get a solution in place for them that's going to make something better. And so it's more about having a connection with people, really caring about their needs and wanting them to succeed, that makes you a great salesperson. Because if it's all about you, you're not selling them anything. You've sold yourself on something and you're trying to get them to go along with you, and that's going to fail every time. And I think where people misunderstand sales sometimes is they think that they're trying to push something and they're being the sleazy salesperson. And it's really the opposite. When you really are a great salesperson, you're the most wonderful, kind, caring person out there, because you're going to take the time to understand them. You're going to take the time to really make sure that what you're providing is going to work. And you're going to do the best you possibly can for somebody and provide what they need in the right way, at the right price, at the right time. So a great salesperson is an advocate and somebody who cares so deeply about their customer success and is so passionate about what they have, and they believe in it so strongly that they don't have to sell it. They're just excited and they want to share it.
So to answer this question, why is it so important that people learn how to sell? Is it really selling, or is it really communicating and listening to what the needs are? Talk a little bit about that.
It's about getting what you want. I mean, when it comes to life, it's important for someone to know how to sell so that you can move in the directions that you want to. You're actually selling yourself on everything that you do and think every single day. And most people don't realize that they are selling themselves, and they close themselves more on what they're believing and doing on a regular basis. And so they're already selling. And if they want to do better in their career, let's say they're in a job, or even if they own their own business, they have to be able to present themselves properly and their ideas and what they want to do, so that they're going to be articulate and really realistic and practical to the people they're presenting to, so that they can get ahead and get what they want. And when people don't accomplish something, they haven't sold themselves first. So you have to sell yourself first to make yourself a good salesperson. And then you have to be able to express yourself properly so that people will understand what your goals are and what you want to do. Everybody needs to learn about sales because they're doing it anyway. But you have to, once you understand why something that you're doing is working or not, and how to make what you're presenting work or not, you're going to have a better experience in your relationships and what you're doing.
Right. Now, I know you recently, we're getting a little feedback here. I know you recently published a book, and it's on Amazon. What was the inspiration behind that book?
I was taking a class, and I was inspired to look back at, P.T. Barnum. And P.T. Barnum there was a movie, The Greatest Showman, and he wrote a book called The Art of Getting Money. And it was an old sales book back from, late 1800s. And I was looking at that, and it was amazing because all of this great sales knowledge that's being taught today as the secrets and the gurus, big time icon salespeople, are all using this knowledge from over 100 years ago. And then I thought, well, that's a good book. What else is there? And then I found a book called The Psychology of Salesmanship by William Walker Atkinson. And what's interesting about him, Atkinson was really a new thought person. He was writing all about the occult and New Age, the law of attraction, back in the turn of the century, 1900s. And he wrote one sales book, and it was about the psychology. And nowadays, a lot of the people who are teaching these really expensive sales courses and all these things, they talk about mindset, they talk about psychology. And I thought it would be really interesting to bring these two together and put together a book so people can see where all this knowledge and all this sales gold really came from. This has just been handed down from generation to generation. There is nothing new that anyone is doing in sales. It's being repackaged and repurposed and reformatted, which is great. But you can go back to some of the original sources, and it's really fascinating to see what these guys wrote when there were only newspapers. And it was a very different time in how people were doing things, but it's pretty much face to face. And people are people. The same things hold true that held true before. So it's really neat.
So I think this is the book. You have 12 different secrets in there. Can you share one of those secrets that might be meaningful for folks?
Absolutely. There's one from P.T. Barnum that I like, and it's whatever you do, do it with all your might. And I think that's an important one for people to understand. They may think, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this, but you have to really commit 1,000%. You have to decide that when you're going to do this, you're going to put everything in and do it. And a lot of times when people are going to embark on something, they don't realize the level of commitment that it's going to take. They don't realize the amount of time and persistence that you need. Persistence is another one that he has. But when you make a decision and you're going to actually do something, there's so many distractions these days that people have. And so when they're doing something, they're checking their phone, or there's, all these things going on, and they're not actually 100% focused on, here's what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it. And they're not putting everything they have into it. And because they're not getting the kind of results that they should. And so I think it's a really good reminder to know that the kind of commitment you have to do to really be successful is probably 10 times more than you think it's going to be. We have all of these wonderful media things, and we see people who have these great stories out there, and you can watch a television show and there's an answer in a half an hour. You watch a movie and somebody's life is condensed into 2.5 hours. So our perspective of the day-to-day tasks that you have to do, and the commitment over and over and over again, and being fully in every single time, is not something that people are always used to. And so it's a good reminder to really have that everything that you have is going to go into this, and then that's going to help you be successful.
Going all in. Yeah, I absolutely love that. So I know you have an ebook available too. How can people access the ebook?
If they go to 416sales.com, they can sign up and they'll get the download immediately. And then after that, if they want to schedule a consultation with me to talk about sales or anything they're doing, they can do that as well.
So you work with both individuals as well as companies?
I do, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I've read the book. You got some amazing content in there. You have a wonderful energy about you, and I just love who you are and what you're doing, and how you're really moving the needle and help people move the needle for themselves so that they can create a better quality of life for their family. Because at the end of the day, that's really what we're all trying to do, right?
Everything's about better, and that's why sales is so good.
Yeah.
You're always selling something better. It's how can I make you better? I'm going to make you feel better, look better. It's going to taste better. Everything's better. So
that's right.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to connect with you, is Facebook the best answer?
Facebook is great. Yeah. If they come to Facebook, that's wonderful. I check it, and I do unplug on the weekends so I can take a break from technology. So if you hit me up on Saturday or Sunday, I'm not getting back to you right away, but I do my best to answer pretty quickly when people, check.
Well, I know that you are super busy and you're working on lots of projects. Any closing thoughts on somebody who wants to fully embrace sales so that they can, create more for themselves or their family or leave a legacy?
I think if you really want to get into sales, do what scares you. And a lot of times that means, picking up the phone and calling somebody to sell them. And one thing that you want to do is know what you're going to say before you're going to get on the phone with anybody. And there's scripts and things that you can find online. I actually teach a sales script training class and do that periodically. It's important to know, even if you're going to be asking questions to learn about the prospect, know your introduction, know your opening lines, know your transitions, and know your close. And understand what are some of the things that are potentially objections for somebody when you're selling. Most of the people that you're going to talk to are not going to be a fit right now for what you have. It doesn't mean they won't be in the future. Your close on every single call is going to be your next phone call, whether it's because they're a client or because you're following up. And if you're just not a fit, that's okay. You want to make sure that how you're presenting yourself is professional and terrific and wonderful, because you never know who somebody else knows. And there have been a lot of times where I've talked to somebody and what I have to offer is not what they need, but they have somebody they know who does need it. And because they liked me, they referred me. So be prepared when you're getting on a call or when you're going to do sales, and just be a wonderful person and just keep the doors open to be helpful, and don't worry about the outcome of what's in it for me. Like it's all about them, and make sure you're taking care of them and being a terrific person to them, and you're going to succeed.
There you go. I absolutely love it. I'm gonna make a bold request of you, and that we continue this conversation, because you have been dropping some gold nuggets already, and I know some people are going to want to hear more about how do they move the needle and how do they improve that skill. But first thing I think everybody should do is download the free ebook. It's 416sales.com. You just go there. You can get it, enter in your information, and I think that you'll be in for a wonderful surprise and some very entertaining reading and very educational reading as well. Lauren, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Terry. I appreciate you too. It's been a lot of fun.
All righty. Everybody have a great one. Until next time, my name is Terry Petrovic. Remember this, you have a choice. Make it a better than terrific day and a prosperous one, because you, yes, you absolutely deserve it. Until next time, bye-bye for now.
Bye.